You're listening to The Mix.
It's Happy Hour on Mix 97.7 with Jonna and Carol.
All right, it is Happy Hour. We have returned. Hello, ladies.
Hello, Frankenberry.
I wasn't expecting that one, but I figured, you know what? It's been 2 weeks, so I'm owed two.
Yeah, you are. We're
Yeah.
behind schedule on our chorus in your praise, I guess. That's
so
what it is.
We've got our super guest for tonight.
I know. I'm really excited. And she's a local girl, too. She's from Millbrook. On the line with us, we have Dr. Jamie Turndorf, also known as Dr. Love.
Dr. Love.
And she is a radio and television personality. She's been delighting audiences for 3 decades with her engaging blend of professional expertise and spicy humor. I like her already. Her success is largely due to her remarkable ability to turn clinical psychobabble into entertaining and easy to understand concepts that transform lives. She has authored several books on resolving relationship conflicts with partners, friends, family members, and children. Hay House is publishing her latest book. I think it's just coming out this week. Kiss Your Fights Goodbye. Dr. Love's 10 simple steps to cooling conflict and rekindling your relationships. And who can't use that? She's also going to be coming out later this year, Love Never Dies, How to Reconnect and Make Peace with the Deceased, which introduces her new grief therapy method that brings her acclaimed conflict resolution method to the world of after-death communication. That is going to be interesting. Dr. Turndorf's radio show, As Dr. Love, is currently broadcast in 80 countries worldwide. She is the go-to relationship expert on numerous television and online networks such as CBS, VH1, WebMD, and MSNBC. And most recently, congratulations, CNN has been featuring her as a resident authority on relationship advice and human behavior. Dr. Love, welcome to Happy Hour.
Hello. Wait, I have to get an ice pack for my swollen head from that introduction.
Exactly.
I ask this question so many times when we interview a guest that has a killer bio like that, and I think, God, do you ever... You go through life and you're doing your thing, and then somebody reads that and you think, wow, I really kind of did a lot, didn't I?
I said, damn.
Good for you. So congratulations on your new book. That's very exciting.
Yeah.
When can people get it?
You can get it now.
Right now? Okay, cool.
You can get it right now. All you have to do is just go to Amazon and put in Kiss Your Fights Goodbye, and you can pre-order it now. And then, if you want, you can go back to my website. Well, actually, you can just email me at preorders@AskDrLove.com, and I have a free gift for your listeners.
Oh,
really? For pre-ordering.
We love free stuff. So tell us about
the gift is Dr. Love's 7 Secrets to Lasting Love.
Ooh, Jonna.
What?
How appropriate. Okay. So tell us about the premise of the book. What made you want to write this book? Who is it for? And generally, what do you hope they get out of it?
Okay. So I'm talking about husband withdrawal, which is the number one cause of relationship and marital conflict, divorce, and domestic violence. Well, this is the most common fight pattern in the world. It's actually called the demand withdraw negative escalation cycle, or husband withdrawal for short. And I'm not talking about a natural form of birth control, just in case you're wondering. No. This fight pattern is what I talk about, and it is my method shows women and couples how to break the cycle and stop husband withdrawal and stop fighting.
What is husband withdrawal?
Yeah. So, to explain to you what it is, heated fighting triggers a biochemical imbalance in men's bodies. And this biochemical imbalance causes them to flee or withdraw from conflict. It's actually autonomic nervous system arousal, or the fight-flight response that occurs when heavy fighting and heated fighting occurs. And this biochemical imbalance dates back to prehistoric times when men were hunters. Men's bodies are hardwired to be hyperreactive to stress and danger. And the wiring dates back to prehistoric times when they were hunters, and they needed to react with lightning speed to flee or to fight dangerous prey. Well, modern danger is no longer the ferocious tiger. It's the pissed-off wife or girlfriend. And when she comes at him baring her teeth and berating him with criticism, his body sees danger and involuntarily switches into ANS arousal, or the fight-flight mode.
Wow.
And women don't know this, but since a guy doesn't want to physically fight, he flees instead. And the sad thing is that there are 3 ways that all men flee from conflict. And the 3 ways that they flee are the most obvious way. They physically leave the room, the house, they avoid contact, hide out in the basement, the workshop, or the garage. That's the obvious withdrawal or fleeing. But the more subtle ways that guys flee are psychic fleeing. Here they're physically present, but they're mentally gone. They're deaf, dumb, and blind. They're drooling on their tie. They have a no hablo inglés expression. And then the last way that they flee is they verbally flee. Here they are verbally escaping responsibility, justifying, defending themselves, making excuses. So it doesn't matter which of the 3 ways a guy flees. A woman not knowing that the fleeing is biochemical imbalance, primitive biological programming talking. She doesn't know it, and she gets pissed off and hurt. She thinks, you don't even care about me. You don't care enough to sit here and listen to me and understand me. So her hurt turns to anger. She turns up the heat and unwittingly sets off more biological fire alarms. Because remember I said it's heated fighting that triggers these fire alarms.
That is so profound to me.
It's intense. And, the thing is, my method shows you how to stop it. Now, that is easier than you could ever imagine. And how do you stop it? Remember I said a second ago, heated fighting is what sets off this biochemical imbalance that leads to more withdrawal and more fighting. So it turns out that we can stop the cycle dead in its tracks. My method shows you how to do this by using what I call relationship climate control techniques. You use my climate control techniques, you cool the climate, and guess what? The biochemical imbalance isn't triggered. Withdrawal stops, fighting stops, and then men stick around and resolve conflicts with you.
That makes perfect sense. Doesn't that make perfect sense?
Yeah.
That makes
and it works.
Sense.
I mean, you can't even believe. The most poignant example of this, I'll never forget it. I had a very famous doctor and his wife come into my office, and I could tell they were in this classic fight pattern, demand, withdraw, negative escalation cycle. He was in total shutdown. She says, for 30 years, I've been telling you what's bugging me. I'm sick of it. You don't talk. And he's looking like, completely brain dead. The doctor is like retarded. I practically have to put a bib on him. He's drooling, he's shut down. So she says, and I've been telling you and telling you and telling you. And I said, but I promise you, you think he's heard you. But guess what? When men are in this state of withdrawal, they don't hear. Because one of the things that happens is called cognitive shutdown. They literally turn their brains off. They can't help it because it was adaptive when they were hunters. They didn't need to think. They just needed to fight or flee. If they started thinking, they weren't going to do that fight with the tiger. They'll think, damn, I'm going to die. I'm going to be eaten. I'm not going to get laid again. No, I can't be thinking all this. I got to fight or flee, right? So I said, he has been in ANS arousal, which causes this cognitive shutdown. He hasn't heard a word you've said, and I'm telling you, if you just present to him what is troubling you in a cool way, no blaming, no attacking, no criticism, I promise you he will hear you. I don't believe it. I don't trust him. And I said, don't let your guard down. Don't believe anything. Just do it. Don't trust. Don't expect. Just tell him one more time. So she does. She calmly tells him using the XY formula I outline in the book. And he looks at her, he bursts into tears, and he says,
oh my God,
I never heard you before now. I get it.
Wow.
I will change. And P.S., he did. And they called me a couple months ago. Years later, we're happy. We've been happy ever since.
Wow.
I know, it's profound. But I have a series of climate control techniques that I outline in the book. You cool the climate down using the steps that I outline. They hear, they stop withdrawing, and it's just like magic. Yeah.
I love when somebody brilliant like you can take something that seems confusing and interwebbed and overwhelming and complicated, and you boil it down to a formula.
Aw, it's true. And, it's my ministry, really, the doctor love industry. I swear to God that I was studying how to do conflict resolution for marriages when I was already in diapers. You know, I jokingly say I earned an honorary PhD when I was in diapers, and I guess we have to spell that PEE. My parents were fighting all the time, and I was always mediating their conflicts. So even then, I was studying how to do it, and then it just went on from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so powerful to me. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Happy Hour on Mix 97.7. I'm Carol Pesci here with Jonna Spilbor, our token male Frankenberry. And on the line with us, we have Dr. Love, Dr. Jamie Turndorf. She is the author of many books, and her newest one, Kiss Your Fights Goodbye, Dr. Love's 10 Simple Steps to Cooling Conflict and Rekindling Your Relationship.
See, I'm irritated now.
What's the matter? What's the matter?
I am irritated now, Dr. Love, because I'll tell you why I am.
That's Jonna speaking.
Yeah, this is Jonna. I'm the one who's not in a relationship in this room, although I've had plenty. A lot of relationships, Dr. Love. Just currently. Right. And I remember, so the one and only time that I ever went to a counseling session with one of my former relationships, I remember sitting in this room, and I said to, so we're getting counseled for the first time ever, and my boyfriend then at the time just started going like, up one side of me and down the other. And I was sitting in my chair looking at the counselor going, I didn't know this was going to be a Jonna bashing session. I thought we were here to resolve our conflicts. And now I'm mad because that's exactly what should have happened. But instead, this counselor just sat there and let him go up one side and down the other.
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because so often I've had people come to me in my office or through the website for couples therapy, and they tell me about how other therapists sort of take turns. It's like half the session you beat the crap out of her, half the session you beat the crap out of him, and that's couples therapy. That is ridiculous, because that's the opposite of what I'm talking about. Because whatever you say and do boomerangs back on you. You get your rocks off on somebody. It may feel like a good thing in the moment to get your rocks off, but on the rocks is where your relationship ends up. It heats the climate. People store up resentment for having been dumped on, then they want to counterblame you. It's a disaster.
Exactly. And now I'm mad that I had no experience with any sort of couples therapy or any therapy whatsoever.
Right.
And I wish your book had been written prior to that, because I would have benefited. I would have looked for a therapist to do what you're talking about.
Exactly. And, you know, sometimes when people are really impossible in my office, I'll just say, listen, just take my book and beat the crap out of each other with it, you know? I mean, because obviously you don't want to do what you need to do.
Right.
To control yourself, because there is an aspect of you control yourself, because people, okay, we're talking about relationship climate control, right? One of the first things that we have to do is identify and eliminate what I call our fight traps. The fight traps are those faulty, dysfunctional fighting tactics that everybody uses. And I group fight traps into two categories, open warfare and secret warfare. The open warfare are those outright slams, you know, the name-calling, the character assassinations, the put-downs, right? And the secret warfare are the more subtle ways that we stick it to each other with the guilt-tripping, the whining, the nagging, the complaining. Whether it's open or secret warfare, it doesn't matter. It heats the climate, causes more chemical imbalance, more husband withdrawal, and more fighting. So one of the first relationship climate control techniques that I teach you in the book is you've got to identify and eliminate your fight traps. That's first. And again, remember,
the trigger, do you mean trigger by that?
Boomerangs back on you. So it feels good to get your rocks off, but on the rocks is where your relationship's going to end up. So just don't.
Dr. Love, may I call you Dr. Love?
Baby, you can call me. Call me whenever you want to call.
When you say identify the traps, do you mean the triggers?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, I don't. In the beginning of the book, when I start to lay out for you how you have to cool the climate down, I have a chapter in there where I say fight traps. These fight traps are the behaviors we engage in that are dysfunctional when we're pissed off, when we're hurt. So instead of me saying to you, Jonna, when you said this to me, I felt kind of sad, and this is why. Instead, I'm going to take my feeling, I'm going to act it out. I'm going to call you names. I'm going to assassinate you. I'm going to guilt trip you. I'm going to silent treat you. These are all behavioral fight traps. That's what I call them. Because you use these dysfunctional patterns of interacting, and you're in a trap, and it makes you fight more. It heats the climate, causes more chemical imbalance, more husband withdrawal, more fighting.
Also known as the pissing contest.
Pissing contest.
I want to share a story with you that I've shared on air before. I'm on my second marriage. Amazing. Love my husband very much. First time I was married, I walked up behind my ex one day and heard him telling somebody else that he loved her. So it was a really difficult time. But for me, I think this was within a week, 2, 3 weeks tops. I remember saying, and I was very, very aware that how I handled my response to this was going to dictate the future, how this played out. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to gauge into that downward spiral, this trap that you're talking about, and the pissing contest, because if I kicked back, he'd kick back. For what? So I said to him, look, I don't want to fight. There's enough stress and anxiety and hurt and pain, and for both of us involved here, I don't want to fight with you. And he said, that's fine. And we didn't. And she hated it. I love that part of it. But
that's wonderful.
But really, this is exactly what you're talking about. I had every right, and I had friends that would say to me, "Oh, what are you going to do? Bronze dip his nuts?" And give me all sorts of ideas of, "Oh, I would do this and I would do that." And I'm like, I don't think so.
That's what we're talking about. It's the gratifying the self, getting your rocks off. Oh, yes, I have a momentary relief, but boy, do you pay.
You do.
And if you hurt your partner, you're hurting yourself. People have to get that, because whatever you say and do boomerangs back on you. I hurt you, you're going to pay me back, so I'm hurting myself when I hurt the other person.
I don't think, and I get that there might be the knee-jerk reaction from people, and like you said, they get their rocks off, but I firmly believe that you do not get yourself to a better, more fulfilling, happier place by hurting back, ever.
Never. And it will hurt you. You hurt the other, you hurt yourself, you hurt your relationship, so how does that work? And so in the book, in Kiss Your Fights Goodbye, I show how you can substitute the fight traps for a different way of talking. But before you even get to the place in the book where I show you exactly how to talk, because resolving conflicts is easy. Once we cool the climate, once husband withdrawal stops and they're in the room with you, guys want to listen. They want to understand. When they don't feel attacked, they want to. Then it's easy to resolve conflicts. That's a step-by-step process that I outline in the second half of the book. So simple. So easy.
They're not defending your point. They're defending the attack. Right? So if you remove the attack, like they feel like they're being attacked, you said before, they'll hear you.
Nobody's going to work with you, because now I can't even listen to you because I'm too busy bandaging and protecting myself because you're ripping my body parts off.
I've been there.
Oh, really? Have you, Frankenberry?
Oh, yes. I've been
What, Frankenberry? What's wrong?
Nothing. I'm just saying. I'm with you. I'm nodding my head going, yeah, you keep going. I'm good.
Wait, so Dr. Love, I have a question that I think I know the answer to. So let's say you got two people in a relationship, and can if one person reads the book and practices what you write in the book, it'll help the entire, both of you don't have to play the game.
I say in the beginning of the book, women are the relationship overseers and maintainers. That's just our role. We are the home, the hearth. We've been raised to raise kids and home and hearth and all that stuff. So since women are the ones who see relationship problems first, and we're the ones who bring the issues to our partner's attention, that the real issue is, how do you present it to your partner? If you bring it up in the correct way, as I show you how to do, then you're going to have a good outcome. So generally speaking, if it's the woman who's doing the work, she can just read my book, follow my methods, and it's like a pebble in the pond. You know, when you cast a pebble in the pond, it reverberates out in concentric rings, and the whole pond is changed, the surface of the pond. One person makes a change, the whole family
whole
unit
dynamic,
changes, the whole relationship
Yep.
changes.
Yep. Great question.
Very interesting. No, but that's good because then you don't, if you can read the book knowing that your partner doesn't have to participate, that you can be the one making the change.
Absolutely. It happens all the time.
And what an empowering place to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You change yourself, you change the world. You change your relationship, you change the world.
Yep.
You know?
I love it. I love it.
Okay. So you have another point here I wanted to ask you. Can you talk about how old scars from childhood cause fighting?
I thought you'd never ask. You know, I was starting to feel abandoned. So, we're talking about relationship climate control, right? All the things that heat the climate, okay? Now, in addition to what I said a second ago about fight traps heating the climate, those dysfunctional ways that we communicate our thoughts and feelings, another real key way, a key thing that heats the climate are our old scars from childhood. We all have them, and how do they heat the climate? I'll give you an example, okay? And I call this the emotional lake effect. You know the actual lake effect where a storm gathers force as it sweeps across the Great Lakes, right? And it picks up moisture from the lakes?
Yep.
Right.
Well, our unconscious minds are doing the same thing in that we're constantly comparing present-day events with the wounds we suffered as kids, okay? And so we are dipping into the reservoir of our unconscious, and we're dredging up all kinds of old feelings, old hurt, old anger. We don't even know. And the next thing you know, we're leveling all that old bag of crap on our partner. Now, tell me, does that not heat the climate? So here's a good example of this emotional lake effect. A husband and wife are at the dinner table, right? And, no, I'll give you another example even better. They're out to dinner in a restaurant, okay? And the husband keeps checking his wristwatch, constantly checking it. Now, the wife goes nuts. You can't wait to get rid of me? Fine, ask for the check. Let's go home. He looks at her. He's like, huh? I was just checking to make sure to feed the meter on time, and now you're handing me a fine. What the hell is going on here? What happened? Her unconscious was associating her husband's behavior to her father who never had any time for her. He wanted to get rid of her, her father. He always ditched her. So now her brain is making this association unconsciously, and she's thinking, my husband can't wait to ditch me, okay?
Yep.
Now she's got this intense reaction, all the old bag of crap she dumps on the husband, heats the climate, husband withdrawal, and fighting. So in the book, I show you how to, you're not going to believe how you deal with these old scars, and it involves stripping.
Really?
I don't mean getting naked. No.
You don't mean it? Oh,
I don't
darn
mean
it.
getting naked. I'm talking about stripping. I have a technique I call stripping away the overt content of the fight. And what you do there is you draw a fight map. I show you how to do it, where you take the current triggering event and you figure out how you felt, and then you go back and you connect it to your history. When did I feel that way as a kid? Who was doing what to me? Now you have unearthed the original old scar. And the powerful thing about this is, once you make the link up, you can actually say to your partner, you know what? This is reminding me of when my mom or dad did X, Y, or Z. And the beauty of this is twofold. You use the relationship to help you heal the old scars. That's the ultimate and most divine purpose of our intimate relationships, to help each other heal these old scars. And as you're working together in this way as a healing unit and a team, guess what? You're cooling the climate. You're not dumping it all on your partner. You're allies. That cools the climate, and husband withdrawal stops.
I am so screwed.
Why?
I am so screwed.
Why?
I'm going to tell you why. I don't want to sound smarmy. Growing up, I was so loved by my parents that I probably no boyfriend I've had in my adult life could ever love me as much as my parents do, and that pisses me off. And that's what's always caused my arguments.
So your old scar is that you had it too good.
Had it too good.
Everybody is a step down. That's what you're saying.
I'm so screwed.
But listen, instead of saying you're screwed, why don't you just keep the bar high and expect to find some partner who loves you and makes you feel as connected as your parents did.
Wait a minute. Did your co-host say that too a couple times over the past year or so?
Oh, sorry.
Wait a minute. I'm not a therapist. I just see what I see. Remember Mrs. Doubtfire? I'm not a therapist, dear. I just see what I see.
I think my exact words are somewhere out there is somebody who will thank God they get the luxury and privilege to have your company.
Dr. Love, she may have said that in the past on the air, but I was too busy riding my unicorn to the mall to hear her.
Oh, Miss Law of Attraction.
Okay, Doc, I'm blaming you on this one.
What did I do? Get
them both on a couch. All right, whatever you do in therapy land there, get them both on a couch. And think about in the past when you've heard the I told you so's, okay? Because it's now going to lead into all of this crap.
You guys are great. You're like the functional family we all want to be part of.
Yeah, we kind of are great.
Yeah. It's really great.
You're great. This is I am learning a lot.
You're brilliant. And again, there are people all around us with tremendous knowledge in their head. Mm-hmm. And I think the most brilliant ones are, and this is one of my very favorite of 2 words in the world is brilliant, Dr. Love, is when you can boil it down to something that's simple to understand. And you've done that.
That's what I have to do. Because you have to be able to sink your teeth into it. It has to make sense. Actually, I was the first relationship advice site on the web. It came about through the most bizarre. I've got this weird kind of ability to see into the future. It's extremely strange. And when I was one day walking around in the house in the early 80s, I had this vision of me bringing out the Dr. Love ministry through computers. And I didn't know what the heck I was seeing because this was already more than a decade before the birth of the Internet.
Wow.
So when the Internet was born in the mid-90s, I said, that's how I was going to do it. And immediately I launched Ask Dr. Love. Yep.
That is really cool.
Isn't that crazy? And, I was already, doing radio in the city, but there was just this wish on my part to bring out this passion that I have for helping people fully love. That's what our purpose is on earth. Beyond it all, it's not about how many people you screw and how much money you make. It's not that. It's how well we love. On our deathbeds, that's not what we're not going to say anything but how well did I love and connect to others. So, and this passion that I have, being a psychic, I was told that, I was born 3 months early, and I spent the first 3 months of my life in a preemie hospital. And, I was a pound, and I'm lying there alone, and a psychic said to me, you decided then that you were going to devote your life to helping people connect and not feel the horrible pain that you felt being so alone and isolated.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
And so it's been my life,
And how beautiful, like what you just said a moment ago about the purpose of relationships. Mm-hmm. And they're here to bring us love and joy and to heal old wounds. And I think if you asked better than 95% of people, most will have very negative things to say about the drama and stress and complication of a relationship.
It's a really good point you're making, and I want to explain why this happens for people. When you think, I've chosen a wrong partner, we're fighting. No, you chose the right partner because you knew deep down that this was the partner who was going to replay for you the worst pain of your childhood. I call this, the repetition compulsion. We're all drawn to partners who emotionally resemble the parents who let us down and injured us. And we don't do this because we are gluttons for punishment. We do this because we know on some level that we're going to be able to recreate the worst pain of the past because we're hoping to fix it. Now, most couples don't get to the we'll fix it and heal it place. But my book, Kiss Your Fights Goodbye, shows you how to work with your old scars so that instead of just reliving the pain and getting to where I hate you as much as I hated my mother or father, no, we are going to help each other heal those old scars. And when you do, the incredible love that brought you together shines through even stronger, and your relationship becomes much more connected and much more loving. And the more you help each other heal the old scars, as I show you how to do, the closer you get, and the more love you feel.
I sure hope there's a lot of people tuning in tonight.
Oh, me too.
Well, and I know they get to hear you on your radio show. When are you on, and how can people hear you outside of happy hour?
You know, in case anybody doesn't remember, it's easy. Just go askdrlove.com, ASKDRlove.com, and right on the home page there's a banner for whatever my show is, each week, and you can just tune in straight from my website. That's the easiest way.
Okay.
Great.
2 more questions for you before we let you go. You mentioned something about training your brain to fight you, not against you.
Fight for you, not against you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You guys are great interviewers. Where have you been all my life? I'm telling you. So we're talking about how you cool the climate down, right? To stop the chemical imbalance that causes husband withdrawal and more fighting. Well, one of the ways, I mentioned get rid of the fight traps. I talked about healing the old scars, go into all these details. Well, you have to also train your brain to fight for you, not against you. And what do I mean by this? Well, through something I call the echo process, our brains are constantly distorting what we see and hear. And guess what? It's always a negative distortion. So we are hearing our parents talking when our partners speak to us. Here's a good example of this one. Husband and wife are at the dinner table. It's Tuesday night, and it's chicken night, right? Mm-hmm. And the husband says to the wife when she puts down the plate of chicken in front of him, "Oh, no, not chicken night again." Well, she goes ape, right? She says, "You don't like my chicken? Well, you can go stuff my chicken." And she's crazy. She's furious. She's negatively distorting what he has said and assumes he is putting down her chicken the way her dad put her down, okay? So that's a negative distortion. So how are you going to keep the climate cool if you go off half-cocked like this and assume he's putting down your chicken? So in the chapter where I show you how to train your brain to fight for you, I have a series of steps that you follow, very simple, where you hold your horses, you take a step back in time, you think about what and who spoke to you in a way that made you feel put down and criticized. And then the most important thing is you come back to the partner and you check out your suspicions to make sure if maybe I am distorting, maybe you didn't mean to put down my chicken. And then the last step, you smooth any ruffled feathers, in this case, chicken feathers.
Very good. Okay, one more question. You're going to love this question, too.
Okay.
How do you handle the battle of the bulge, the sex wars?
And we know we're talking about the bulge below the waist.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. South of the border. Yeah.
All right, let's go to Mexico
Southern
now.
Hemisphere. So, how do you handle it? Very carefully.
With lots of love.
And very often.
No, how do you handle this? Well, again, I have a technique in this chapter. I call it reading between the sheets. Because so often our sexual fights, again, are concealing other issues. Because it said sexual fights are really not only about sex very often. Money fights aren't only about money. Like, for example, I had a guy who, after his wife got pregnant and had their child, he didn't want to have sex with her anymore. And so you'd think, oh, maybe she went to pot, or her body wasn't right, or, whatever. She didn't want to have sex. It was none of these things. She was attractive. He said she was attractive. So we had to read between the sheets to find out why suddenly his sex drive went on the fritz. So we used my reading between the sheets technique, and what do we find? One day when she was pregnant, wearing a maternity dress, he looked at her, thought of his mother when she was pregnant, turned him off because you're not supposed to screw your mother, and that just messed him up.
Oh, my God.
So once we made the connection, it's like, yo, dude, this is not your mother. He was back on his game again. So reading between the sheets is one of the ways that we solve the battle of the bulge. You're not giving me enough sex. You're not giving me enough this. You're withholding. Often people will use sex as a way of sticking it to each other, but not in the way you want. So. Hello.
Oh my gosh, you are just so
fantastic,
fun, so full of amazing, useful information. You are exactly what we want on our show.
We want to go drinking with you.
All right, we can go drinking.
All right.
I live close enough.
We'll
to
pick
you.
you up in a limo. We don't go anywhere drinking unless someone else is driving us.
That's
Well,
right.
there you go.
Oh my gosh.
I'm so glad that I met you guys. You're a lot of fun. You're great interviewers. Lots of fun to be with.
Oh, likewise. So again, if you're just tuning in and wondering who we're talking to, we're just wrapping up here with Dr. Jamie Turndorf. She is also known as Dr. Love, author of a fabulous new book. I can't wait to read the whole thing. Kiss Your Fights Goodbye, Dr. Love's 10 Simple Steps to Cooling Conflict and Rekindling Your Relationship. And I can tell you already, even though I haven't read the whole thing, I would completely and totally recommend it based on this interview. You are fabulous and brilliant and wise and funny.
I'm going to read it as a preventative. I'm going to read it so that I know what to do when I get there.
That's a really good idea, too, because an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of poundings, you know?
That's right. We like our pound of poundings.
Yeah, right.
Don't take away your poundings. Wait a minute. She liked you till then. All right. So how can people find you, listen to you, buy your book?
Okay, so just go to AskDrLove.com or DrLove.com. Either way, I've got both those websites, and then you'll find out what's on my show, and my radio shows are all archived on my site, so you can catch up on all different topics. And the book, Kiss Your Fights Goodbye, can be ordered now on Amazon. And if you order before the actual launch date, the book is officially launching in 10 days. So if you order before, you'll just go to my site, and there's a pre-order offer for your listeners. And it's Dr. Love's 7 Secrets to Lasting Love. Just a little thank you gift for pre-ordering.
Well, very nice.
That's
Will you
terrific.
come back and talk with us again?
Please.
I would love to. I would absolutely love to. It was just a total joy meeting you all.
Likewise.
And I
thank
hope to speak to you soon.
All right.
And-
Very
Thank you,
good.
Dr.
Thank
Love.
you.
Doc, before you leave, one quick question with the example of the guy and the oh no, not chicken again, and she goes off the handle.
Yeah.
Now, do you have an alternative solution where she gets really nice and she says, okay, I'll cook you something else, but he's deathly allergic to peanuts and she uses peanut oil?
Well, then this is the title of my former book, Till Death Do Us Part, Unless I Kill You First.
Okay, good.
Unless I kill you first.
Thanks, Doc.
Oh, I want to read that one too.
Oh, that's great.
All right.
Yeah.
You've been terrific.
Dr. Love, thank you so much for hanging with us on Happy Hour. We'll have you back, and we will talk to you about maybe picking you up in a limo and
Oh, definitely.
a few martinis in the back seat. We'll just drive around Dutchess County. That's all.
Yeah.
Fix the world's problems.